Hello and welcome to Woodbridge, the best town around. My name is John McCormick. I'm the mayor of this great town, and we're here today to present a Mayor's Excellence in Athletic Achievement Award to Elijah Jones, who's a track and field athlete from Port Reading. He's already smiling. Let me introduce the council here. We have to my right Debbie Meehan, 5th Ward Councilwoman Colonia. To her right Greg Ficara, Councilman at Large and head of our Wellness Committee. He's the guy that does all the health and athletic stuff, so he's a good guy to know. To his right, Sharon McGola, 1st Ward Councilwoman. To her right, Corey Spiller, 3rd Ward Councilman, who covers Avenel and Port Reading, so he's your direct guy. And then Brian Small is a councilman at large also. He happens to be from Port Reading, so he's your other guy. And of course, we have Principal Fitzgerald here from School 9. So let me read this proclamation before we call up Elijah. The AAU track and field competition offers amateur sports programs for all people to have the physical, mental, and moral development of professional athletes, and to promote good sportsmanship and good citizenship while developing their skills at the highest level through national and local networks of sporting events. And whereas Elijah Jones earned many accolades in his amateur track and field career, including competing at the AAU Junior Olympic Games in 2021, earning 4th place in the 200-meter and 400-meter races, as well as 10th place in the 100-meter, then competing in the AAU Indoor National Championship in 2022, earning, pay attention here, 2 national championship awards in the 60-meter and 400-meter, with a 2nd place finish in the 200-meter, and finally racing at the USATF Youth Indoor Championship, where he earned another national championship award in the 200-meter and 2 2nd place finishes in the 55 and 400-meter races. There's a lot of stuff going on there. And whereas Elijah Jones plans to continue representing Woodbridge Township at the AAU Region 1 Championship in Connecticut, as well as the AAU Junior Olympic Games in North Carolina, to defend his national championship and earn more medals. And I'm John McCormick, Mayor of the town of Woodbridge, with the Town Council. Honor and salute Elijah Jones, distinguished Woodbridge Township athlete, for his dedication and passion to track and field events, and extend best wishes in all future competitions. So I think I have 3 national championship awards, a bunch of 2nds, a bunch of 3rds and 4ths. It's ridiculous. I can't even keep track. So let me call up young Elijah Jones, if you don't mind. All right. So now, I want you to, well, tell me, how did you get started in track? You face Kelly there. How'd you get started in track?
When I was little, I liked track. I liked running.
What was your very first meet? Do you remember?
No.
Was it in school or?
It was like a real meet.
So when did you realize you were like faster than everybody else you saw?
When I started running track,
All right.
How old were you?
I was like 8 or 7.
And what's your local club, local organization?
Speed Skills, based out of Scotch Plains.
Okay, speed skills based on the Scotch Plains. So his first meet was what? What did he do his very first meet?
His first meet.
Come on. What's your first name?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry? Donnell Jones. Tell me what, you can take the middle. You guys both shared a mic. What was his very first meet when he ran and you said, oh my gosh?
Well, he was running around in the yard, and a buddy of mine said, man, he's fast. And, just seeing him, like, I didn't realize, but in the following summer, put him in track.
Ran for elite first.
Yeah, he ran for elite.
Why'd you come up to him?
And he just took off from there. I think he got his first race. I think he was like 5th place.
Okay.
At 7 years old, and that was 100 meters. I think it was. And from there, he just gradually going up and up.
So you knew pretty early on you had something special here. And then he starts going to serious meets.
Yeah, serious meets, national competition, and it's flourishing. It's doing good.
Doing good. It's good freaking shit.
Yeah, hopefully this summer will be another one.
Where you going to sit, North Carolina?
Yeah, North Carolina. We got regionals this weekend, actually. We're leaving Friday to Connecticut.
Okay. Are you tall for your age, short for your age? Are you in the middle? What are you?
I'm like in the middle. Or
In the middle, okay.
He's tall for his age.
You tall for his age? Okay. Yeah, I couldn't tell. So what else? How do you train? What do you do to train?
I usually go to practice like each week, 2 times a week.
All right. Do you have to have a certain diet because you're literally a world championship runner?
Yeah.
What's that like?
Know what?
No what, no chocolate,
Yeah, like no candy.
no
What
candy,
else? What else?
No sweets.
no
What I tell
sweets?
you, no what? Pizza?
Yeah, no pizza.
Oh, man.
No,
You know, that's why I never took up speed running.
no, pizza before.
Once I heard you couldn't speed
Before
run.
me.
Before.
We got carbo,
Like,
right?
yeah,
Got
yeah.
carbo.
Like this week, no heavy foods this week.
So you really gotta follow a legitimate diet to make sure you're ready for your running.
Yeah, pretty much.
What's your long range goal?
For the 400.
No, just in general, like, what do you have
What do you
a
want to be?
career in mind?
You have anybody you look
Like
up
when
to?
you get older,
Is somebody
high school,
you
college.
like?
Like Noah Lyles.
No one else is that.
He's like one of the fastest in the world.
Oh, really? You guys did that? Right, you knew that?
Tell me just met.
Oh, Christian Coleman.
Oh, okay.
He's
So
a- Yeah, he's an
He's an-
Olympian.
yeah.
And,
Oh, really?
And he signed my spikes for track.
Really? That, you know what that means? That means he sees something in you to say, you're gonna be something someday, and he wants to be one of the guys that was there when you were younger. What else about what's going on here do you want to talk about?
So where else do you and Daddy go training for a week?
Oh, we usually go to like a high school, Woodbridge High School.
And where else in Woodbridge?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, community center.
All right, oh, cool, that's our stuff.
So that's training right there.
All right.
During the winter, we go to the community center,
Woodbridge Community.
Woodbridge Community Center. It's outdoors.
When you run the track upstairs, or the
Track.
track, okay. So someday when you're like an Olympian, you're gonna remember us? You know,
Yeah.
you come back to Woodbridge and do a little parade or something when you win an Olympic gold medal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, if a Woodbridge resident won an Olympic gold medal, we're darn sure we have a parade. Darn sure. So do you have any plans for your career, what you want to be? I mean, is there international track things where you can compete and make money? Yeah, there are.
Endorsements.
Yeah.
Endorsements. Yeah.
So we see, well, right now, college kids can sell their endorsements.
Yeah, they can.
They just started this year.
It's called their
Just started this year.
Their likeness. Is it only college? You know, like I said, you're the athletic guy. What can you do? I mean, at what age can you actually say, look, I'm Elijah Jones, you know, here's what I want to sponsor. At what age can you do that?
Regulations don't really come into play until you get into college.
Up
Until that time, you're kind of on your own if somebody's interested
Yes,
in
sir.
modeling or having them endorse sneakers or.
That's it.
I have a really big question though, because the whole family looks athletic to me. Where is the genetic?
Oh, that was me.
Well, it came after my father. My father was the St. Paris, which is his grandfather, which is his he ran, he was the fastest sprinter for the state of New Jersey. Nobody has broken.
Whoa, time out. Robert Pettis
Yes.
was the fastest sprinter in the state of New Jersey.
Yes.
And the record
From
still
Carteret.
stands.
From
For
Carteret.
Carteret. High school.
Yes,
And you say his record still stands.
yes.
In what? In 100, 200?
Yeah, the 200.
The sprint, you
Yeah,
sprint.
Just like Elijah's, right? 200, 400, and the sprints, the 55.
5-1.
Did he know his grandfather?
No, no,
No.
he didn't know it.
No, that's right before he was born.
Okay, we take after.
When
Yeah.
you have those days where you're running in multiple events, they're spread out over a couple of days, right? Like
It depends.
Okay.
you could run 4 events in one day?
He only does 3.
Okay.
A 100, 200, and 400. But they're spread out through hours and then rest.
Great. And how, with all your training, have you managed your studies? It's got to be difficult.
Why don't we ask the principal?
Elijah's a good student, so he's doing something right. Mom said we're doing something right, but
Yeah.
he's a good student. Yeah, he's a good student.
He's a good
So,
How do you manage? Like, when do you squeeze in your studies?
Your schoolwork.
Your schoolwork.
Oh,
You make sure it's up to date and how good you do your schoolwork.
sometimes I do it when I get home, my homework, or I do it at school.
So it's before practice,
Yeah.
before you go to training, because I'm sure afterward you
No,
don't
it's
have
not.
a lot of gas in your
Yep.
tank.
It's not about that.
He goes to St. Anthony after school.
Yeah,
Oh,
more right.
I got you. Oh, so you got time, a little time. Wow.
You're kindergarten school now?
For one more day.
One more day. Are you looking forward to the summer? Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you run now? Do you try to run fast? Do you talk? You're talking,
Can you catch your brother?
No.
Right, tell them what you got in track. Did you get something at first, or what did you get? Tell them.
Gold medal? Holy cow,
Although at our school track meet, he was the fastest, like, about,
Yeah, I was
in
there.
that. And we didn't, that's when we realized how fast he was, because during COVID, we didn't have track last year. So this year, I see him line up, and we knew he was fastest of our school, but we see him line up for the 50, and he's like in his stance, I remember the one gym teacher looks at me and he's like, he's legit, man, like, he's fast. And like, he was just out.
The meet they had at
The
Kennedy.
meet they had at Kennedy,
He competed there.
yes,
Killed everybody.
yeah.
And did he do it? He didn't do it last year, but happened the year before.
We only 4th and 5th grade could do it.
Oh, okay, all right. The
So,
one chance he had to do it.
the one champ, yeah, he won.
He
So,
swamped everybody.
he was just fast. And so I was talking to him and I was like, oh yeah, he's like, oh yeah, I run. And I was like, okay, like run, like, I don't run for fun. So I'm like, what are you talking about? So that's when he was telling me, and then I started talking to mom and dad and to find out he had all these like accolades. So that's when I was like, we gotta like let people know, because we didn't have any idea because of COVID, like that he was doing all this, so.
But you've got to be pretty humble to
But,
just say,
Oh,
oh yeah,
no,
I
he
won.
doesn't know. He wouldn't.
We won 3 gold medals and,
Yeah.
they.
Yeah.
How many
competitions.
gold medals you got, Elijah? How many medals you think you got in your
Oh.
right now?
Like, probably over 100.
Yeah. He actually has a whole lot.
Yeah.
And that's because you have a good support team, right? Mom and dad, all your coaches. So it takes a village, right? It takes
Yeah.
those coaches.
Really, really cool, man. I want you to remember, that we were all here when you were in 5th grade. I want to the Olympics. When you get there, I want you to come back, all right? You got that? Is that a deal? Give me 5 of that.
Not just bagels.
I can talk to Eric and be like, hey. They're gonna get in the next one.
Please rise to the pledge to our flag and remain silent. Please stay for a moment of silence for our military personnel serving here and abroad. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Law have been satisfied concerning this meeting. The Home News Tribune and the Star Ledger published a notice on December 10th, 2021. A copy of the schedule was posted on the municipal bulletin board, and it should be so noted in the minutes of this meeting. Councilman Spiller. Here. Councilwoman Meehan.
Here.
Councilman Patel. Here. Councilman Anderson. Councilwoman De Jesus. Councilman Small. Here. Councilwoman McCullough.
Here.
Vice President Ficarra. Here. And President Fowler. Here. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes from May 31st, 2022?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Beginning with the second reading ordinances tonight, we're going to take A and B together. They're both handicap parking designations on Oak Avenue and Woodruff Avenue. With that said, can I get a motion that these two ordinances be taken up on second and third reading and the public hearing be open?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letters A and B only. Again, A and B only. Hearing no comment from the public, can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Ordinances listed before you, C, D, E, and F. Can I get a motion that these four ordinances be passed on first reading, published in the Home News Tribune on June 24th, 2022, with notice of public hearing to be held on July 5th, 2022 at 6 p.m.?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And Mr. President, before you have listed 47 resolutions. Can I get a motion to approve them by consent?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mitch. This time we'll go to the public portion of our meeting. Please state your name, part of the township or state you are from, and you have a one-time 5-minute time period. All video taking must be taken within a designated area in the rear of the room. There will be no shouting out from your seats. Please respect each other, and please make sure all signs or posters do not block walkway aisles. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gary Diedelmeyer, live in Colonia. For most of my adult life, I lived in this town. For 35 years, I ran a very well-respected business in Avenel. I come to these meetings to be informed, to hear firsthand from the people who are going to be doing this work. And I also do it because I live here. When I first started coming to the meetings, which was just a short time ago, it was what I expected it to be. It was when the floor was open to the public that it became a little bit more interesting. Now, I'm fully aware, in a town with a population of over 100,000 people, you're not going to make everybody happy. That is an impossible task. But people have questions. Many people come with questions that are relevant, interesting, to the point, fresh, and are respectful. And it's nice to see the time and effort put into their agendas. One of the things I learned in my life is effort equals results. And then there's others without fact or merit that just want to be heard. Case in point, last meeting, it was brought up that there were no programs for children in Woodbridge, and that the council is racist and all should resign. Well, apparently there was no effort applied here, because it only took me a few clicks to find out what this town offers. In this town of Woodbridge, we have 17 elementary schools, 5 middle schools, 3 high schools. Most of these schools have baseball and softball fields, basketball, tennis court, and track. There's 3 different youth centers for middle-aged kids, Evergreen and Colonia, Highland Grove and Ford, Acadia, Woodbridge. There's a youth sport leagues that's run by the township. There's also the Junior Police Academy, which I highly recommend. There's 3 summer and sport camps. There's 16 staff playgrounds in this town for arts and craft. There's specialty camps for cooking and acting. There's 2 swimming pools, one with a spray park and another pool coming soon. There's also programs, which is dear to my heart, for special need kids. Woodbridge Community Center and the Club of Woodbridge offer roller, ice skate rink, racquetball, pickleball, golf, gym, you name it. I checked other towns. No other town comes close to this place. In reference to the racist remark, I know some of you, I don't know all of you, but I pay attention. And in my opinion, I don't see any in this group. I do know, if you want respect, nice hat, you need to show respect. As far as everyone here should resign, what if they all did? Is there a plan? Or should we just let our town crash into the mountain because there's nobody here to navigate it? Memorial Day last May, I made a speech at the Kenilworth Veterans Center and VFW Post 2230, which I am a member. I spoke that during World War II, 20% of our population served our country, 20%. 20% of our people saw a need and made an effort to help our country. These are mine and your parents, your grandparents. They were the greatest generation. Today, that number is down to 1%. There's a lot of people out there talking the talk. Very few are walking the walk. Talk is cheap. Talk is free. There's that free speech thing. And with the internet, it just runs wild. Listen, we could all be home right now having dinner with our families. going to a baseball game, whatever. But we're here. We're here to try to make a great town better. This is walking the walk. All I'm saying is if we're going to spend time here, let's do it in a more positive manner. If something is not working in the way that you like it, let's not condemn everybody. Maybe you have a different approach and discuss it. Just remember, effort equals results. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your courtesy.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments this evening from the public?
Good evening, James Dabrowski, Woodbridge proper. It was great seeing so many of you at Woodbridge's second annual Juneteenth celebration, and I want to take this opportunity to commend Councilman Kyle Anderson and his organization WONAC for putting together such an important and long overdue event for our community. I'd also like to take this opportunity to amplify the words of Dr. Denisha Jones, Director of the Art of Teaching program at Sarah Lawrence College and a member of the National Black Lives Matter at School Steering Committee. Before you say Happy Juneteenth, know that the struggle for black freedom began by our ancestors remains ongoing. Before you say Happy Juneteenth, remember we struggle for freedom for all black people, black trans people, black people with disabilities, black women, black men, and black children. Before you say Happy Juneteenth, ask yourself what are you doing to aid the ongoing struggle for black freedom. Don't get caught up in the commercialization of Juneteenth if you ain't here to do the work of collective liberation. Happy Juneteenth. I'd also like to amplify the words of Andre Henry, an award-winning writer, musician, activist, and best-selling author of All the White Friends I Couldn't Keep, Hope and Hard Pills to Swallow About Fighting for Black Lives. Andre's latest weekly newsletter reads as follows. Juneteenth is complicated for me now that it's become a federal holiday. I remember what this day felt like 2 years ago. People gathered in the streets, livid about the killing of George Floyd, demanding an end to slavery's afterlives, the police, prisons, and poverty. The air was electric. It felt like systemic racism could have ended by the end of that summer. Now, on this same day Black Americans celebrate the end of U.S. chattel slavery, banks built by slave labor will close in observance, people who oppose the black freedom struggle will get the day off, and Walmart will sell Juneteenth-themed paper plates. This is the concession they gave us when we chanted, "No justice, no peace, defund the police." As Malcolm X reminds us, the white man will try to satisfy us with symbolic victories rather than economic equity and real justice. Yet, I hold on to one irrefutable truth, that the powers that be only make concessions to prevent more revolutionary changes from happening. That means that they recognized our potential in 2020, probably even more than we did. And if they saw that power in us enough to fear and curb it, I hope we'll see it too. A new world is possible. It doesn't have to be this way. I'm deeply inspired by these words from Dr. Denisha Jones and Andre Henry, and I hope you are as well. I think about the people who opposed and who continue to oppose the struggle for black liberation, the majority of whom look like me, of course, but also many who don't. White supremacy is a hell of a drug, as the anti-racist saying goes, and we are all under the influence of it, whether we realize it or not. White supremacy is not going to dismantle itself. That's where we must come in. Those of us who are committed to anti-racism beyond the performative, beyond the symbolic, beyond the concessions. We must demand better. To quote the abolitionist Frederick Douglass, power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did and it never will. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. reiterates, freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor, it must be demanded by the oppressed. I'd like to add that it must also be demanded by those of us who aspire to be allies to the oppressed. We white people have inherited, benefit from, and helped to uphold and maintain this violent system of white supremacy. It is our responsibility to help dismantle it. It's shameful that those who are the most harmed by white supremacy are doing the heaviest lifting to break it down. We need to be taking on more of that weight, as it's our mess to clean up. I think so many of us white folks didn't show our faces at our community Juneteenth event because deep down we know we're not doing nearly enough, or in many cases anything at all, to fight white supremacy. Many of us are in fact frighteningly fighting to defend white supremacy. We will come out in droves to celebrate the freedom of white landowners and slaveholders on July 4th, while attacking teaching the truth about Juneteenth and anything else that makes us uncomfortable. Well, black lives will always matter more than white comfort, and it's long overdue that us white folks start using our unearned white privilege for good for a change, and stop being so afraid to get into what the late civil rights icon John Lewis called good trouble. He was arrested at least 45 times and also brutalized by police. To mark Juneteenth this year, poet Amanda Gorman read Fury and Faith, a poem from her collection entitled Call Us What We Carry. I wish I had time to read the entire piece, but I feel moved to share this short excerpt. Black lives matter, no matter what. Black lives are worth living, worth defending, worth every struggle. We owe it to the fallen to fight. We owe it to ourselves to never stay kneeling when the day calls us to stand. Justice for Niger Parks, justice for Jeremiah Daniels Porter, Black Lives Matter, anti-racism policy now, stop the KSB power plant.
Are there any other comments this evening? Hearing no other comments.
Good evening. Kason Little, Elizabeth, New Jersey. It's disgusting again that white people is actually saying what is racist and what is not racist. And that goes to show that there's a lot that needs to be done as far as checking your own privilege, because your privilege is loud as possible. And it's because of white privilege that got us to where we are at in this country, which is another distasteful legend and another testament reflection of what we need to do to bring forth justice, and so that justice can be here to stay. The fight for black liberation and justice is not a seasonal fight. As long as acts of injustice are alive and well, as long as hatred and white supremacy is alive and well, then the fight for justice remains for the rest of our lives. And like I said before, y'all sit here and think that black suffering, pain, and trauma is a joke. You dismiss claims that are brought to the city that is real. The trauma that has been inflicted on people is real, and there's nothing to be played with. And you dismiss them just so that way you can continue to cover up your own wrongdoing. It never happened. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Knowing that there's victims that drive through the city every single day that make their issues and things that they go through public, but they know none of you care. You only care for a selective few. And you sit there and you praise yourselves in the back and you show up at a Juneteenth event not knowing what Juneteenth really is. If you're racist, stay home. You're not welcome at Juneteenth. Period. Bottom line. Stay home. And then you have a police table set up at Juneteenth, but yet you want to dismiss claims that were made by black people at a Juneteenth event, saying that those things have never happened or occurred, Mr. Mayor. That's not what Juneteenth is about. And I'm here to tell you as a black man, regardless of how many black people you have bought out and bossed and controlled in this city, that that's not what it is about. That's whitewashed, and that is disgusting. And it's again offensive to black people who want freedom and liberation. Because we know what freedom and liberation should look like, not you as white people. Because you are exempt from it. Why? Because you have privilege. And your privilege protects you. And if you don't believe me, go into neighborhoods where you can jog at night, but knowing that I can't. And you're going to say, oh, that's false. You will never live a day in black people's shoes. And therefore, that shows that you are racist if you believe it. But you never want to be called racist. That's the beautiful part about it, and the most funniest part about it. And you sit there with all that anger in your heart. Those miserable faces that I'm looking at right now, that you keep whispering in your colleagues' ear about when people who you dislike come up to this microphone. That's white supremacy right there. Go abolish your own white supremacy. It's nasty. And it's haunted. And it stinks up at the top. It's a fishy, smelly rock that needs to be abolished from the ground up. Because all liberation is through black liberation. And if black people aren't free, nobody's free. Period. But you sit here and you pat yourselves in the back, you nurse your own little fruit juice, thinking you did a good job. And you have people come, you buy people out, thinking that we got endless opportunities and resources here in the district, in the city, for our youth. There's never enough. Never enough. But you want to keep vested in policing and thinking that crime is going to resolve it just by doing that. Take more preventative measures that go outside of that. But you're not, because you all are cop lovers, and that's what you'll do best. And then finishing the quote of what Jimmy stated, we'll be told this is not a problem, not my problem. You'll be told now is not the time for change to begin. Told that we cannot win. But the point of protest isn't winning, it's holding fast to the promise of freedom. Even when fast victory is not promised. Meaning we cannot stand up to police if we cannot cease policing our imagination. Convincing our communities that this won't work when the work hasn't even begun.
Thank you, sir.
We're just getting started.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public this
Council
evening?
President, I just
Yes.
want to say one thing. Number one, Woodbridge is not a city, it's a township. Number two, the council were invited to attend. Number three, the police were invited to attend to encourage relationships so that children can interact, and it went quite well. And number four, on a personal note, I've been on the committee for Juneteenth since its origin last year. So I just wanted to kind of get that out on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Any other comments from the public?
Paul Lund, Hope Lawn. Born and raised in Hope Lawn. You know, I've come here for years, and I realize I really don't know you that well. Howie, a little bit from the old neighborhood, right? And I'm certainly not in a position to judge you. And I think I've stereotyped this council one too many times. I assume because it's all Democrat and it has been so for a long time, and I assume that because they're oftentimes called McCormick's teams, I've been cynical enough to think that you do the bidding of Mr. McCormick, and that you have no choice but to, adopt his vision of where the town goes, and that's a cynical view. I want to say officially that my wife appreciates John McCormick's competence. She appreciates his humor during the COVID lockdown. She remembers the one particularly about French fries being made in Greece. So I want to give credit where credit is due. Corny jokes kept spirits up. I'm still concerned that this transit village concept, it looks good on paper, it looks good as a vision. And I have no reason, as a Christian, we're called to pray for those who are in authority over us so that it goes well with the city. So I have no reason to not want to see this vision succeed. Having a fancy steakhouse, having all these apartments with new neighbors, I'm hoping that it works out, that we get all the ambiance and all some of the cosmopolitan aspects of the city without too much of the problems of a city. I'm hearing about more crime. Someone on Klein Boulevard, a guy goes right up the driveway to carjack, and he has a struggle, and the gentleman gets shot. There seems to be an uptick in crime everywhere, particularly in the inner cities, but I think it's also seeping into the suburbs. We're concerned that there's overdevelopment. We always bring that up every time we run, every couple of years for town council, or whatever. There's infrastructure challenges. There's probably going to be more crowding in the classroom, and we only hear that it's going to generate more tax revenue, more pilot money, but it never seems to translate into any real relief in our pockets. Now that we have this huge amount of inflation, we're certainly concerned about affordability at this point. So I just want to go on record saying I'm hopeful, but I'm skeptical that we'll get all the benefits of your vision and none of the drawbacks. On the power plant, I want to make it clear, I have no problem with fossil fuel. I was one of those that I love the idea of energy independence that we enjoyed under Donald Trump. I'd love to see that again. If there were an alternative that was affordable, that was reliable, all for it. I love nature and I love clean air as much as the next person. But the problem is that it's not there yet. Go look to California if you want to see how reliable and how affordable solar and wind power is. And all the progressives in this state want to push these on us. And you talk about environmental justice, who gets hit the hardest with $5, $6 a gallon gas and all the commodities that end up being inflated? It's the folks that these people, these good social justice warriors say they care about. And they're going to go to Trenton and they're going to protest one little power plant. And they're going to make a big deal out of it, and they have no alternatives. They're going to call us systemically racist. They're going to want you all to resign. They have no better alternative leadership-wise. If there were more people of color interested in running for office, they'd have more than enough people here who look past color to give them a shot at being on that council. So I've pretty much had my piece. I can't believe that I did in less than 5 minutes. For a change, I thank you for your time. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public this evening?
John Godard, Woodbridge. Let's change a little bit different subject. I was here 2 weeks ago to council meetings, and I asked a question about a lot of people been asking remove the trees, and they were told there's a long waiting list. I would like to know how long is that long waiting list to remove that tree over the public property right away, on public right away? How long does it take?
Mr. Brew? Director Brew?
So it all depends on when the application is put through. If there's an imminent hazard, obviously that is stepped up, on the list. We typically don't take down a tree that's healthy, but if it's impeding a sewer, power lines, uprooting a sidewalk, curb, etc., and the tree needs to come down, we'll take it down as soon as we see fit.
Approximately, how long will it take? Weeks, months?
It could be weeks.
Years?
It all depends on the hazard, yes, sir.
How about on a private property?
We discussed this a couple of weeks ago.
We discussed this last week.
Yeah, we discussed this.
And what is it? No. Well, on April 26th, there's a Woodbridge DPW on 64 Cliffwood Road, the Woodbridge. Removed the 2 trees on private property. And of course, on the May 9th, they came back and removed the stumps, the ground stumps from those two trees on the private property, 64 Cliffwood Road.
Yeah, so Mr. Buttar, you asked that question before. It was in the right of way, and there was an issue with the power line.
It's a private property, it's not right away.
10 feet of everybody's property is right away.
Did you physically see where the trees were before you took them down?
Yes.
Of course.
Who did?
Our tree supervisor.
Who authorized the removal of the trees?
Yeah. You were sent the Oprah, Mr. Maris. Mr. Vitari. Mr. Maris got the Oprah.
Sure. I was the one who got an anonymous letter before it. And that's why it's a question before. The 2 trees removed with such and such address, such and such people on a private property. And
They were removed properly, they were in the right of way, they were threatening power lines, and we removed them like we would remove anybody's tree.
Mayor, I have a pictures over here.
Good.
And if you want to look at it, don't look like a fool. Because I don't want to read your words, but it was private property. It's evidence. And could you tell me who is the owner of the property?
You obviously know that.
Yeah. Do you know?
Not in front of me, Mr. Vitari. No, I don't have it.
You don't have it? Mr. Drew, does he know?
We sent you the Oprah.
Maybe I should ask the councilwoman, the coffee, Sharon, who lives at 64 Fleetwood Road?
My last name is pronounced McAuliffe.
Yeah, McAuliffe, okay. Who lives on the 64
My mother and father live at 64 Fleetwood Road.
Yeah. Was you present at that time when they cut those trees?
Did they call me and tell me the trees were getting cut down? Yes, they did. Was the tree measured correctly? Yes, it was. It was 10 feet off the ground.
I got a picture, so don't please.
We sent them measured pictures. If you'd like to see those, we could send them
I
to
got it.
you.
No, I got it. The perfect, I got it. But again, when you said all along,
Mr. Vitara, can you submit those pictures to Mr. Mitch?
well, I think that's again, we did, but that's a really problem. It was thousands of dollars. They supposed to remove some of the trees. Why are some people are privileged, especially when you talk about a council over here, maybe, I don't say all of you, but some of you, to take advantage of that's a, call it this,
Nobody
public
has
funds.
privilege. The application was made, it was properly handled, the tree was in the 10-foot right-of-way, and it was threatening
Okay,
power
we
lines.
do-
And it doesn't matter to us who owns it.
Mayor,
If there's an
please,
emergency
please, please,
situation,
don't
we'll
waste
take
the
down
time.
the tree,
You're
and we
just talking
did.
to you know what? I tell you what, application was made on the 28th of April, and trees were removed on 26th of April. The trees were removed before the application was made. It's right
Thank
over
you,
here.
Mr. Vitara. If you'd like to submit those pictures to us, we'll kindly look at them.
Pardon me?
Could you please submit those to Mr. Township Clerk so we can look at them? Thank you.
Can I get him back? Thank you.
Good evening, Tom Maris, Fort New Jersey. Just going to spend a few seconds on this. Once again, we see the race-baiting individuals with their Marxist agendas coming and berating this council. It's disgusting. They have nothing really valid to say. They don't point out anything that anybody has done wrong. In fact, as a good gentleman pointed out, there's a lot that goes on in this town to help everybody, every race, creed, and color. I've lived here a lot longer than these people have been on this earth. And I've watched the town grow, I've watched it go through its growing pains, and we still do. And we're going to have more as we get more people coming in. But to listen to these people, it's just absurd. They need to find something really worthwhile to do in their life. Maybe get active in actually helping the people that they're accusing, or thinking that they're helping with their rhetoric, hyperbole. Getting past it anyway, it's enough time wasted on it. I mentioned to the Board of Education the other night about the plans to go forward with the Ross Street School apartment complex, which would take over their lot. Finally, we're getting somewhere in that they're acknowledging that they do have at least a copy of an unsolicited appraisal on the property. They won't tell me what it's worth, but they say that they have not yet made a decision as to whether they will sell or not. My admission, my caution to them was, you might want to move fast, since the developer that McCormick chose is already advertising the development and looking for people to come into the development. So once again, we see that things in this town really are owned and run by John McCormick, because even here at the school board, apparently they're just waiting for the final memo to come through and say, guess what, you're going to sell that property. We're not asking you, we're telling you. And that's backed up by two ordinances that were passed by the town council, one in 2020 and one in 2021, going ahead with the redevelopment plans for that area. And one might ask too, if that parking lot, if the developer doesn't go forward with that, what would happen with the Vito Mazda plan, as well as the 245, I think approximately, parking spots on North James Street? Switching over from that to the CPV power plant, I had requested records showing what contamination, as John McCormick has cited several times, that it was a radioactive toxic site, and yet finally after pressing, I get back, there are no records.
What else did you get that back?
All right?
What else did you get back on that over? What other information?
Well, after I pressed it, that's what I got back. No records, period. Matter of fact, well, if I had enough time, I could read in the questions that I asked. In fact, I'll try and get through them very quickly. One, the agreement between Competitive Power Ventures, CPV, and Woodbridge Township to perform all site remediation of toxic, radioactive, and other contaminants at existing 725 megawatt power plant and the 630 proposed plant. The township's records showing the types of toxic, radioactive, and other forms of contamination at all on the site. We're kind of abbreviating things as we go through it. The record showing how much CPV properties in KSB have had toxic, radioactive, and other contaminants remediated, and how much remains to be remediated. The answer was no record exists. I'm pressing it a little bit further with the good town clerk. I got a little statement that says remediation, cleanup, and identification of the toxic substances at the CPV KSB site. The cleanup was overseen by the New Jersey DEP Brownsfield Site Remediation Program and CPV. The township has not involved in remediation and has no records pertaining to the cleanup. And my question would be, how does the mayor continue to say it's radioactive if we have no records in this town? Taking it a step further, would we not be concerned by our EMS, fire departments, and health officials as to what is on that site, what has been done? And there was a contractual obligation with CPV to clean up the whole site. So why wouldn't we have all of those records right here in-house available to key personnel from safety and health reasons? Finally, it's tragic that we had the incident where we had somebody shot in their driveway recently on a carjacking, and it's been well publicized about the Island robbery at one of the jewelry stores. It's going to happen. As this town grows, the crime continues to run rampant, unfortunately, because of some really stupid policies by liberal, woke individuals who think you don't prosecute crime anymore and you let the criminals run free. This is what's going to happen. But would you consider, and I know the township's got to be suffering right now, like everybody else, with increased cost for equipment,
Thank you,
gas,
Mr.
and so
Chairman. Time's
on.
up.
I'm sorry.
Your
Can you
time is
answer
up.
my
Thank you.
questions then?
Excuse me?
May you answer the questions that I posed?
You can submit them to us. If you want to submit it to you after the meeting.
Well, you do that on a select basis, Howie. You let some people get answered and you
No, I
shut
didn't
down
let
others.
anybody answer. No, 5 minutes are up. If you wanted an answer, you kept going on, Mr. Maris.
Are there any
Thank
other
you.
comments this evening from the public? Any other comments this evening from the public? Here no other comment. Can I get a motion that the public comment portion be closed?
Motion.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Go on to the agenda session.
Yes, next time we'll go through our agenda. My agenda's in order. Just have 2 statements and announcements. Last day of school for Woodbridge Township is tomorrow. Be mindful of our children as they enjoy their summer break, especially driving through our neighborhoods. And secondly, congratulations to our students moving up in their respective grades, to our middle schoolers moving on to high school, and to our high school seniors. Good luck on all your future endeavors. God bless our first responders, and God bless America. That's all I have. Council Vice President Vaccaro.
A couple of things over at the community center. The mini golf and batting cages are open every day starting June 27th. The township is now operating 2 outdoor swim clubs. The pools are the Springwood Swim Club located on McKinley Avenue in Colonia, and Highland Grove Pool and Spray Park in Fords on Highland Terrace. Both great outdoor activities. There's memberships involved, or you can go for the day, but it's a good opportunity to get out there and be with the family. Our fireworks are on Friday, July 1st. Please remember the park is closed until 4 o'clock. There is no reserved seating, no alcoholic beverages, and fireworks will be simulcast on 107.9 WOLD. Just a couple of announcements. First of all, I was hoping Mr. Green would be here, but over at our health clinic, you might have heard now that Pfizer is available for 6 months through 4 years, 3 doses. And also Moderna is 6 months to 5 years. The primary series of 2 doses are available. You can call over to the health department or at 732-855-0600, extension 5004, if you're interested in any of those things. And also, I wanted to point out that Woodbridge Township is working with Sustainable New Jersey on a health initiative, and there is a community health survey available if you want to be part of it. You can go to our webpage and go over to the health department, and you'll have an opportunity to fill this survey out. It's very quick, and you'll have the ability to add your opinion. And then I just wanted to point out more of a public service. The state department came out with the environmental justice, their DEP, some of the rules and regulations, some discussion about that tonight. And there are a number of public hearings starting on Monday, July 11th from 3 to 5 and again from 6 to 7. And that's down in Trenton at the DEP offices on State Street. On Wednesday, the 13th of July at 6:30 at the Camden Community Center. On Wednesday, July 27th, 6 p.m. at the NJIT Conference Center in Newark. And then there's a virtual event on July 28th using the Teams software program. If you email for the virtual, if you have anything that you want to say, you email EJ for environmental justice rule hearing at dep.nj.org. And if you want to send questions in advance, you can send it to the DEP at www.nj.gov/dep/rules/comments. And you've got to do that by September 4th, that particular one. That's all I have, Council President. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Small.
Thank you, Council President. Number 3 on my agenda, Port Reading Fire is holding a boot drive this Saturday from 8 to 12, the intersection of Port Reading and Tappan. Number 12, National Public Lands Day is 9/24/22. I just want to put that out there. A couple of months away to mark your calendar. A couple of comments. I want to commend, he's not here tonight, Councilman Anderson, for the Juneteenth celebration. I was able to see many old colleagues, many old friends that I worked with and coached with. It was a nice event, so I want to give him the credit. Director Hubner, the police department had a nice table set up, and it seemed to be one of the busiest tables of the event, so comments to your officers who worked it that day. I just want to once again thank our police department, our fire departments, our EMS, our public works employees for the great job they do, and God bless America. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilwoman DeJesus is excused. Councilman Spiller.
Thank you, Council President Bauer. Item number 2, registration is now open for Avenel Performing Arts Center's 2022 August theater camps. Register for 1, 2, or all 3 weeks, starting on August 1st, the 8th, and the 15th. Students will have half-day classes in singing, acting, musical theater, and rehearsals for an end-of-the-week showcase for family and friends to see on the APEX stage. For more information, you can contact Harry Rubino at 732-588-8903, or you can register online at avenelarts.com/education/. Item number 4, the Woodbridge Golden Saints have started their 2022 football and cheer registration. Students from kindergarten through 2nd grade can participate in flag football and cheer, and 3rd grade through 8th can participate in tackle and cheer. Each registered player will receive a ticket to the Rutgers Golden Saints Youth Day. That's the first home game for Rutgers, and get a Rutgers t-shirt. You can register online at www.woodbridgegoldensaints.org or email eboard@goldensaints.org. Item number 5, Avenel Middle School. I'd just like to thank acknowledged Snapple Dr. Pepper, a distribution warehouse located on Blair Road in Avenel. AMS PTO asked me if I could help with a donation of water for their field day. I contacted Snapple, and about 3 days later, Snapple donated over 5,500 bottles of water. Mr. Mitch can attest to that because the 2 big pallets are sitting in the back of the firehouse. In addition to the middle school, a large supply went to our CERT team to supply their rehab unit for emergency incidents. So again, one of our local businesses coming out, helping out our kids in our township, so thank you. The rest of my agenda is in order, Council President, just a few announcements. With July 4th approaching, please take in the free fireworks show that the township has to offer and leave the fireworks to the professionals. Don't be a fireworks flunky. You might think it's fun at 11 o'clock at night, but it frightens our pets and seriously affects our military residents that suffer from PTSD. I'd like just to say congratulations to all of our graduates from our township schools tomorrow and over the last few days. Hope everyone enjoys their summer. Thank you to all our emergency responders, fire, EMS, our Woodbridge Police Department, CERT, all of our public works and township employees. God bless America. Thank you, Council President Bauer.
Thank you. Councilwoman Behan.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda's in order. I have an update on the Inman Avenue streetscape. The township signed an agreement with PSE&G to deliver and install 44 decorative lights on Inman Avenue on both sides from St. John Vianney's up to Cypress Drive. We are also installing a Colonia clock tower, which will be located right next to Walgreens in that little triangle there. It'll have a big C on it that looks like Colonia High School. So it'll make the downtown look really nice and cleaned up and spruced up. And it should be started in about September, October, so it'll be nice for our upcoming holidays. And like I said, it's really going to add some beauty to downtown Colonia, which needs a little sprucing up. And just to save the date, the Colonia Charity Wiffle Ball Tournament and Family Day this year will be July 30th. The cost is $10 per player, which includes a barbecue. We invite anybody to come out, put a team together. It's 5 to 7 people. All the money we raise that day will be given to a family in need within our community. And I just want to congratulate all our Woodbridge Township graduates who are graduating this week. I wish each and every one of you the best success. Councilman Spiller and I will be at Colonia High School tomorrow. We're very excited about that, to shake all those graduates' hands. So it'll be a really great day. And just have a happy and safe 4th of July and a great summer. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Anderson is excused. Councilman Patel.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda is on. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman McCullough.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda is in order. I'd just like to make a few announcements. First, I'd like to thank everyone who came out for Relay for Life this weekend at the Alvin P. Williams Park. It was a great presence by a lot of people for a really good cause. Thank you to everyone who made a donation for that. Don't forget to come out this Thursday in Seymour. We're going to start having our local band Thursdays there at on Ferry Street at the park this week. It starts this Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Only other thing I have is that the Chamber of Commerce is going to be having a social tomorrow from 4:30 to 6:30, which will be located outside behind the chamber, and they're going to have ice cream emergency there. I'd like to thank whatever department took care of working on all the basketball courts. The one in Seawarren, I got several phone calls from a bunch of residents there that the basketball court new paint job and that they're going to be putting new rims up. Looks amazing, and they're very happy because the park looks really good there. So thank you for everything to everyone who came out for the downtown car show. It was a great success. There are a lot of people walking around, grabbing a bite to eat from the local eateries and popping in to look at stores that are on Main Street, which is really important. We need people to walk on Main Street and see what kind of businesses we have there and help support your local business. And congratulations to all the graduates from the middle school and the high school from Woodbridge, Colonia, and JFK. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mitch.
Thank you, Mr. President. My agenda is in order.
Thank you. Director Hubner. Thank you. Director Doherty.
Thank you, Council President. Nothing this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Burton.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda is also in order.
Thank you. Business Administrator Zinaluka.
I have two resolutions, a tax and sewer overpayment and a parking refund, and I have an add-on this evening, acceptance of a bid on a tree service grappler loader. Thank you.
Thank you. Legal?
Nothing this evening, Council President.
Thank you. Motion for adjournment.
Motion. Second.
Good night. Thank you.